No snow up at Donner, but we're seeing a lot of wind and a lot of rain. You can see some wet roadways there. Webcam is bouncing around and the temperature is around 40 degrees up at Donner. And the elevation at Donner up at the summit here, at least along I-80, is roughly 7,200 feet. So the snow level is pretty high, and so we're going to see more rain than anything else, and that's what's being detected here on radar. But you can see it stretches all the way down into the west here. Bay Area seeing some rain, Sacramento, heavy rainfall along I-80 and pretty close to Donner, Truckee, western side of Lake Tahoe, but a lot of shadowing here. It's dry in the Truckee Meadows, but we have a lot of cloud cover, and also it is windy out here as well. So you can see basically all the cloud cover, the moisture, how it's coming basically out of the southwest. Almost if you look towards the south, you can see it pulling up to the north, but we have a second little plume just up to the northwest of the first one, and then we have the area of low pressure. The center of the low pretty far off to the west, so because of that western track, we're just not going to get a lot of the cold air. I mean, eventually it is going to move out of here, but the core of the storm is further back to the west, and so it's just not close enough to really provide us with colder air. So the snow level is going to stay pretty high, and everything is delayed too. So the winter weather advisory for the Tahoe Basin here in purple now begins at 10 p.m. and it goes through 12 p.m. on Friday. Above 8,000 feet, just looking at 4 inches of snowfall. Anywhere between 7,500 to 8,000 feet, could see up to about 2 inches. Again, Donner along I-80 is about 7,200. And along Mount Rose Highway, keep in mind there, the elevation gets pretty high, so you could get some snowfall there tonight. And then into Mono County in pink, that's where we do have a winter storm warning, and that goes through 4 p.m. on Friday, and that's where we could see a foot of snowfall. That's where we're going to see a lot of moisture too. That will be the focal point for this storm. Where now they also have a flood watch issued, and that begins late Friday into early Sunday morning. So it's not only the snow, but also heavy rainfall. That winter storm warning where they're expecting some heavy snowfall, basically above 9,000 feet, below 9,000 feet, a lot of rain. Now here's a look at some of the winter storm severity impacts here. Notice a lot of them further south. Again, that's where we're going to see majority of the impacts. Further up to the north up at Donner, it's not zero, but it's limited to minor, and that includes Mount Rose Highway as well. But parts of Mount Rose here, even tonight, it's a moderate risk because the elevation there is pretty high. Keep in mind though, again, even though it's not snowing up at Donner right now, heavy rainfall and wind, so you still want to be cautious. Speaking of the rain, we will get some rainfall, but it's going to take its dear old time to get here. Probably won't see any really move in until later tonight, and it's not going to be a lot, but higher amounts further south. Again, and a lot of water content up in the Sierra, a lot of rain there. Also could see some wind in the valley, already seeing some wind. So for Reno, wind gusts up through about 5 p.m. will be in the mid-30s. Wind-prone areas could see wind gusts into the 40s, like Washoe Valley. And then overnight, wind speeds start to ease, and we start to get a little bit of some rain. Again, we're not going to get a lot of rain, but I do think we will get some. Here's a look at some of the current wind gusts here. Virginia City, 44-mile-per-hour wind gusts, as well as instead 21 in Minton and Gardnerville, 41 in Truckee. So a lot of wind. And notice wind gusts get lighter further to the east, 16 in Fernley. So up and down the Truckee Meadows, 395, 580. That's where we will see a good amount of wind today as well. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast here. We do have a 50% chance for rain. It really isn't going to arrive until later tonight into tomorrow morning. And then on Saturday, a high of 58. And then a colder storm moves in late Sunday and into Monday. And even on Saturday, further south, well south of I-80, Mono County, you can even see another round move in. Thank you so much for logging on, and have a great day.